She was so good that it took Andrei's breath away when he saw her for the first time. He saw her not in a restaurant, not in the business atmosphere of the office, not at some party, razzied to the hilt. No, she was just late for the bus, flew into its cabin like a whirlwind, breathing heavily from the fast running, frantically grabbed the handrail and almost fell down when the bus jerked sharply, pulling away. Another woman in such a situation would have looked ridiculous and clumsy, would have staggered, lowered her eyes and shrunk to be invisible. But not her. This nymph laughed quietly, squared her shoulders and proudly sat down on the empty seat, right in front of Andrei. He looked at her thick brown hair, gathered behind in a tight bundle, from which a flirtatious strand was out, at her thin neck and could not admire. He only wondered why he hadn't seen her before, as he had been riding the same bus on the same route for almost 2 years. The man considered it a great stroke of luck that the stranger got off at the same stop as he did. She simply got up from the seat, and at the same second she flew out of the bus doors. When Andrew stepped out of the transport after the elderly woman, who had hesitated a little on the stairs, the lovely woman was almost out of sight, floating farther and farther away. He looked after her with regret, but he was calm. For some reason he was sure that this would not be the last meeting with the woman of his dreams. And so it was. After a few days of regular trips, the stranger smiled at Andrew, entering the rattling bus, and he just mollipated from the beauty and some special light emanating from this girl. One day the man, ahead of the beauty and getting off the bus first, gave her a hand, helping her down the steep steps. The girl with a smile nodded gratefully to him, and went her usual way. Andrei resolutely walked after her, but when he got close to her, he suddenly realized that he could not say anything. His breath caught, the words were stuck somewhere inside, and he walked beside her, frantically thinking what to do in this stupid situation. Help came from his companion. She suddenly stopped abruptly, turned to him and said gravely, "I agree." "To what?" Andrei was afraid of his own voice, it sounded so hoarse, as if someone had spoken for him. "To go out with you," cheerfully said the stranger, and laughed so infectiously that Andrei finally let go of the tension, leaving only the sweet anticipation of a pleasant meeting. Dasha held a thin leg of an exquisite glass of ice-cold champagne, and, smiling happily, looked at Andrew. She was incredibly beautiful in that simple, but so perfectly suited to her white dress. Her luxurious hair flowed in soft waves over her shoulders. "You are the most beautiful bride," whispered the man, approaching the girl and taking her hand. "Are you really mine at last?" "I was yours," Dasha laughed. "No, now I am the official owner of the most beautiful girl of our city." The beautiful bride smiled, as if appreciating the joke, but Andrei was serious. Guests one after another approached the young people, congratulated them, wished them family happiness and a long life together. Each of the congratulators complimented Dasha. She was really damn good, and today she simply shone. The groom, filled with pride, listened to these compliments and simply melted. They were like a balm to his soul, as if the beauty of his bride was his personal achievement. Since his school years, Andrew had a weakness for beautiful girls. In 9th grade he fell in love with the first beauty of the school, who studied in the parallel. Other girls he did not imagine near him. It was important to him that next to him was the one that everyone dreams of, and if not all, then many. The guy began to storm the heart of the young seductress and even achieved a couple of dates, but then the insidious beauty made him a hand and swapped to a beautiful athletic 11th grader. Andrew was also not amiss tall, handsome, but to compete with the main athlete of the school he was not able to. Of course, the boy was angry. He jealously followed the life of his girlfriend, who changed guys like gloves. With pleasure and even gloating he noted how his failed love got married early, had a child, got healthy and became like everyone else, no worse and no better. There was no trace of her former beauty left very quickly. And now, looking at his ideal bride, Andrew was very proud that he was able to win the heart of such a beauty, and even imagined how school love will jealously observe his happy family life with a beautiful wife in photos on social networks. "Come on, Daniel, let's get undressed, wash your hands and have dinner. You still have to finish your homework." Andrei heard his wife's joyful voice from the hallway. Finally, he and his son came home. Third grader Daniel quickly looked into the kitchen, said, "Hi, Dad," and disappeared into the bathroom, from where the splash of water could be heard. Dasha went into the kitchen, approached her husband, and said affectionately, "Hi. Have you had dinner?" "Of course, I can't sit around hungry after work." With a pretension in his voice sneered the man, "I wanted to have dinner with my favorite wife, but she is not at home." "Andre, come on, don't be grumpy. You know I was picking up Daniel from the club. Daniel's class ended almost 2 hours ago. Andre, I called you and told you that we'll go to the movies with him to see a new cartoon. I promised him a long time ago." "I know. Couldn't you have waited until the weekend?" "I come home from work, no one's home. I have classes this weekend. It'll probably be until tonight, and we might not make it." There it is again. Tell me, what the hell do you need a course for? It's like you want to get out of the house one more time. "Andre, I told you a long time ago to take a makeup course." "Why? What's wrong with your job? You're a good hairdresser, you're booked 2 weeks in advance, what else do you need?" "I'm satisfied with my job, I love it very much. But you understand, Andre, I don't want to stand still, I want something new. And I want my wife to be at home, not wandering around." The man shouted, jumped up from his seat, and went into the living room, slamming the door. Dasha looked after her husband with resentment, took a deep breath, and began to heat up dinner for her son. Andre sat on the sofa and irritably clicked the TV remote control, aimlessly switching from channel to channel. Anger was boiling in him, but he could not make any more claims to his wife. There was simply nothing to pick on. At home reigned cleanliness and order. On the table he always waited for delicious food. His son pleases good studies and good behavior. Andrew himself, Dasha, also does not neglect attention. Everything as he wanted. The perfect wife, beautiful, smart, slender as a doe, although the child gave birth. Her son will soon be 10 years old, she herself is 33, and it is as if she has not changed over the years, only even more beautiful became. Well, what is not a reason for pride? Except that lately Andre has not left the feeling that Dasha as if from him eludes. All these new hobbies, courses, self-development. The man sincerely puzzled over what his wife lacks. The house a full cup, he earns a decent income, she also has a job, a son is excellent. What else do you need? In his picture of the world was ideal when Daniel was very young. Dasha then was a real homebody engaged with the baby, winding laps around the house with the stroller, waiting for her husband from work, while beautiful, excellent hostess. Andre felt himself then just the master of life. But now he almost physically felt as if he was losing control over his wife, and it made him wildly angry. When she, so beautiful and enthusiastic, went to these courses, and then came back happy, joyful, wanted to tell him about something, to share, he only barked and did not want to listen to anything. Suddenly it hit Andre. Of course. He remembered how, 2 years after Daniel's birth, he and Dasha thought about a second child, saying that it would be good to have a girl now, a sister for their son. But then it didn't work at once. Dasha had some problems with her womanhood, she underwent treatment, but the talk of a baby somehow came to naught. Now, Andre decided, was the right time for it. His wife was still quite young and healthy. Besides, when the child was born, she would moderate her ardor a little, settle down at home, and everything would be as it was before, quiet, calm, and under control. In the evening, when the son was already sweetly asleep, and Dasha, having washed the dishes and cleaned the kitchen, came to the bedroom, the man, affectionately hugging her shoulders, said, "You'll excuse me, sunshine, okay? I'm just a little tired today, and something came over me." "Nothing, it happens," with a soft smile replied Dasha. "I'll try to get off early on Sunday from the course, maybe we can go to the park together?" "Okay. Listen, Dasha. You and I should have a second child. We've been planning it for a long time. I really want a daughter. Andre. Listen, let's not do it now. Maybe later? I'm finishing courses, I have so many plans, clients need to build up. We're planning to open a salon with the girls. But time goes on, we're not getting any younger. That's exactly what we need now. No, Andre. Let's still wait. I've been nurturing this idea for so long, I started studying. I can't just give it all up. Listen, the man began to get angry. You can think of anything but your courses? And in general, Dasha, what do you lack? I don't earn enough? What do you need a career for? You're a woman. You could sit on your heels and be happy with what you have. But no, you have to go somewhere else. Daria had already taken an air and wanted to answer, to object in some way. But suddenly she changed her mind, quickly got out of bed, took a plaid from the armchair and went to sleep on the sofa in the living room. The old elevator cabin was cramped and dark. The old elevator from the last forces long carried Andre and neighbor Marina. What a joke, 17 floors down. Finally the number 1 lit up on the blurred scoreboard, and the doors opened. Andre looked with interest at the neighbor, who, having said goodbye, left the entrance and disappeared around the corner, wiggling her lush hips. That's who would be an ideal wife. Of course, Marina is not as beautiful as his Dasha, but if dressed up and tidy up, makeup will be quite something. And most importantly, malleable, unassuming, nothing demanding and little wanting. She has been sitting at the cash register in the nearest supermarket for 10 years, and 2 more times she will sit for the same amount of time. In this store, a bunch of new cashiers have already become directors and have been promoted somewhere else, and she is still serving customers and putting food on the shelves. Everything is simple and clear, without any self-improvement and careerism. Dasha used to sometimes communicate with Marina. She as a neighbor came to them for tea, but then this communication somehow gradually stopped. Dasha, you see, was not interested in the neighbor, and there was no time to tea with her. Every free minute from work, household chores and raising her son, she devoted to her damn courses. And having finished them, began to return later from work, because there were new clients. Andre shook himself. Lately he was more and more often visited by thoughts of infidelity, and although he desperately resisted them, they still treacherously crept into his head. And in these thoughts most often appeared neighbor Marina. At first, the man wanted to just get back at his wife for disobedience here. Look who I preferred you. The neighbor is not as good as you, but she does not rush where she should not, does not try to jump above his head, knows his place. And now he thought that he had every right to go left without remorse. After all, Dasha in the last few weeks began to avoid him. She sat for long evenings in the kitchen, as if waiting for her husband to fall asleep. When Andre tried to hug her, to caress her, she shrank back, became tense. And for a long time she looked at him silently, attentively, as if she wanted to say something, but did not dare. That evening Dasha did not come, but flew home as if on wings. Quickly threw off her shoes on the threshold, she easily flew out into the living room and, without noticing the frown on her husband's face, exclaimed, Andre, I'm going to a contest in Moscow. What competition? Wrinkle between the eyebrows of Andrew lay even deeper. I applied 2 weeks ago for a contest of makeup artists. A little breathless, replied Dasha, sent examples of their work. Today I got a reply. I was invited to participate in the contest. In Moscow? And when do you have to go there, for how long? I'm going the day after tomorrow, Thursday. For 3 days. They pay for everything: hotel, meals, even a sightseeing tour of Moscow. Wait, how for 3 days? What about me? Have you thought about your son? Andre, Daniel is not a baby anymore. He'll stay with his mom, I agreed. And you're an adult. I'm not going away for a year, it's only 3 days. It's such a great opportunity, you can't imagine. I prefer, Dasha, that you take advantage of opportunities to be a good wife and mother, not this nonsense of yours. Makeup artist, my ass? What's she doing, smearing makeup on my face? We've got every first makeup artist. Everyone uses plaster. Andre, tell me, what have I done wrong as a wife and as a mother? Quietly asked Dasha, why have I not earned the right to do something for myself? Dasha, you are a woman. Your sacred duty is to be beautiful, to please your husband's eyes, to look after the house, the child, and just to be always there for him. Is it difficult? Dasha wanted to answer again, but remained silent. Without words she took out her bag and began to pack. Thursday passed in a nervous atmosphere. Andrei tried to press on Dasha's conscience, then on pity. He shamed her, said very unpleasant things about her worthlessness as a wife, mother, and keeper of the hearth. Then he began to say with tears in his voice how empty and lonely his apartment would be without his beloved wife. When the door slammed behind Dasha, Andrei stood for a while in the middle of the empty room, clenched his fists with anger, then left the apartment, went down to the floor below and resolutely rang the doorbell of his neighbor Marina. A warm ray of sunlight slid across the pillow and woke Andrei with its bright light, making him cringe, but still opened his eyes. The man turned his head. On the neighboring pillow peacefully slept, slightly snoring, malleable Marina. It was hot, and the woman threw back the blanket. Andrei lay and furtively looked at the one with whom he spent tonight. With the beautiful Dasha, of course, the neighbor was not in any comparison. They seemed to be of the same age, but Marinka caused a feeling of some lack of grooming, even unwashed. Her body was slender, but loose, not causing a desire to touch her. Andrei remembered the beautiful, smooth thighs of his wife, who every morning went for a jog, and then took a contrast shower. And he resented that his wife, even in the morning an extra 10 minutes, does not want to spend with him. On what Dasha only with a smile offered him to run together, but the fact was that Andrew wanted from her submission and control. But Marina, with all her appearance, on a 3, listened to him, opening his mouth, with everything agreed and was ready for anything. Good morning. Marina opened her swollen eyes and smiled. How long have you been awake? Not long. When is your Dasha coming? Tomorrow. That means we still have a whole day, said the neighbor, throwing her leg over Andrei, but the man recoiled. You this. Go wash up, or something. Marina began to lazily slip out of bed. At that time there was a click of the lock, the front door opened and Dasha entered the apartment. She froze in the bedroom doorway for a second, assessing the picture, then smiled and went to the kitchen. There was a splash of water, then the sound of a boiling electric kettle. Why are you frozen? Andrew hissed irritably, turning to the frightened Marinka. Get dressed and go home. I'll call you. The woman obeyed. When the door closed behind the neighbor, Andrei pulled on his home pants, took a deep breath and went into the kitchen. Dasha, why are you so early? He asked in an ingratiating tone. Isn't the contest until tomorrow? The contest ended earlier, Daria replied calmly. Listen, Dasha, Andrei began, carefully choosing words, what you've seen here. It's Andrei softly. Andrei, the woman stopped her husband softly. Don't try. I'm not interested. It's good that the bag is packed. I'll put the rest of my things together and leave. What do you mean, leave? Dasha, stop it, come on. Well, yes, I understand I'm guilty, I made a mistake. I'm ready to redeem myself. Where are you going to go? To my mom's, where else? Andrei, I've made up my mind. Stop this nonsense. Well, you realize that you yourself are somewhat to blame. I have long missed your attention. Well, so I started to look at the neighbor. And she doesn't mind. Come on, Andrei, the woman wrinkled her nose. I'm not interested in these details. Please, now listen to me, at least once in so many years. You usually do not dignify me with such an honor, but now, I beg you, listen and do not worry. I've missed something too, Andrei. Your understanding, your involvement. I do not feel beside you a personality, a person with whom it is interesting to talk. I was just as an appendix to you. I really wanted to share with you my hobbies, what I cared about. But you weren't interested. You know, I'm actually grateful to you for bringing Marina. I probably never would have left you for nothing. What? Andrei boiled up. So you were going to leave me? Yes. I must confess to you, since we're having an honest conversation. I've been in love with another man for about 6 months now. And I feel like he likes me too. But I couldn't afford to go near him, I have a family, a child. But now I'm completely free, and I can leave with a clear conscience. Ah, you bitch! Hissed the man, so you've been leading me around for 6 months? You were the one who cheated on me first. Daria replied quietly. I'm clean before you. Yeah, just like the Virgin Mary. She's been tailing some guy for 6 months. Who is he? It doesn't matter. He's just someone who respects me. And you marry Marina, Andre. She'll be the perfect wife for you. Isn't that what you wanted? Andre sat in the empty apartment. Next to him on the table was a half-empty bottle of something very strong. His phone was bursting with calls from his neighbor Marina. From her there were already about 30 missed calls. And the man sat there thinking. He remembered his high school sweetheart, the beautiful Anna. And, of course, he thought of his wife Dasha. The lower was the level of alcohol in the bottle, the more he strengthened in the idea that all problems and troubles come only from beautiful women. And it never occurred to him that sometimes problems can be caused by men who persistently do not see a woman as a human being.